Hey guys, we're in the shop today and we're going to show you how to replace a 10-inch tire. A lot of people struggle with this job and they either can't get the tire off or have trouble with pinching tubes, but it's actually not that bad of a job as long as you know the tricks. So I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks I've picked up over the years. So we've already removed our wheel from the bike and we're doing a rear wheel because this one's going to be a little more tricky. This size of wheel bearing actually doesn't fit a lot of your tire changing stands. So we're taking the axle from the bike and we're going to install this into our soft jaws. Now these ones are from Reinstall. They have a little notch for shafts like this. But we have some less expensive soft jaws on our site if you want to go with some of those, and they still have the cutouts. You can put shafts in them like this. So we're going to snug that down. Don't worry about bending this because if you use the right technique, you're not even going to come close to bending it. I do want to install the wheel spacer, and that's just going to keep the wheel off the vise. We're going to start just on the sprocket side, and this is going to help us avoid cutting our hand. So I like to wear just wear rubber gloves, but some people use like the mechanic gloves. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the valve core. So since we're on the sprocket side, we're going to break the bead first. So we're just taking a tire iron. We're going next to that valve stem. I'm just going to push this down all the way around. Make sure that's away from the rim. We also need to back off the nut on the valve stem. That'll usually take a 12mm wrench. And I'm just going to spin that all the way off right now. So on the other side, again, we're going to have to break the bead. You can just push down on it, or if it's stuck, use a spoon. Make sure it's down all the way. And then I like to push in on the valve stem just a little bit. Make sure that's freed up. And 180 degrees from the valve stem, that's where I'm going to start removing this tire. So we're just going to hook one spoon under, and if your tube isn't flat already, you want to be careful that you don't hook the tube as well. So I'm just barely getting underneath the bead on the tire. And then before I pull up on the lever, I'm going to push down on the other side, and it almost helps this lever come up by itself. You shouldn't have to put a lot of pressure on there. And then sometimes I'll back this off for the second one. That makes it a little bit easier. Usually I'll use 3 spoons. So we'll get that third spot off. And then we're just going to rotate all the way around the tire. So we're completely off on that side. Now, this technique, I use it on every tire, no matter what size it is. I flip it over, I'm leaving the tube in. Again, I'm starting 180 degrees from the valve stem. We're going to pop this up again. So starting on the opposite side of the valve stem makes this really easy to push off. So this side now, we should be able to just slide the tire off like that. So if you did have a flat, you want to look down in here, see what went through your tire, run your hand in there, make sure nothing's going to catch on your new tube. So this one's looking good. So this is the Tusk 2mm heavy duty tube. To prep it, you've got these 2 nuts. I'm going to remove one of the nuts, and then this other one you're going to spin all the way down. You always want to just barely snug those up against the tube. And then I'm putting a little bit of air into this. I like to put a little less air than I would on a big one, so it's going to be able to compress enough when you install your tire. So with that being said, I also like to powder these, but you don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to set the wheel back in the vise, sprocket side down, and it's going to stay that way. And you can see this rim band or rim strip, that thing's toast. So these things are very inexpensive. I just recommend doing this every time you're replacing your tire or tube. Put a new rim strip on there. Some people like to use duct tape, that's fine too, but this is a lot easier. So I actually put a little more air in this. This is how I like them, and I'll explain that in a second. So these tires, or this tire, is actually directional, and we need to make sure it's going the correct way. I'm gonna go ahead and install the tube into it. For lube, there's a few things you can use, like soap and water, but for me, this is what I like to use, and it makes the job quite a bit easier. Now, the whole secret of getting this installed is making sure that you have both beads lubed. So I'll spray that on the bead on both sides. I'm going to install the valve stem into the rim first.
Now, if you don't do it this way, the valve stem is going to be really difficult to install.
Just going to thread that nut on a couple threads. And then a lot of times when you install the tire this way on these 10-inch tires, sometimes you can work the tire all the way on just by hand. Oh, a little too far. But if it didn't pop on like that, you can use your tire spoon the last little bit. So I'm going to start about, you'd start 90 degrees, 45 degrees from this valve stem right there. We're going to hook this in and then just work our way around. And the whole key of this, I almost forgot to say this when we took off the old tire, but you want to get the bead down in the dish, and that's going to allow the tire to work on all the way around. If you can't get the bead pushed down in the dish, then you can let some air out to help you with that. And then the last couple bites, you might have to take smaller bites and then use a couple spoons for that. This one, we're just going to have to use one more spoon. And I might even pull this up just a little bit to get it in there. And I like to be just a little off center of that valve stem, just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm pushing in on that so the bead doesn't catch it. It pops in just like that. Before I fill it up, I like to press on the valve stem. I'll press that in a couple times, and that's going to tell me that the material around the valve stem isn't caught underneath the bead on the tire. So from here, we just need to set the bead. So you can look on this outside, you have that ring all the way around next to the rim. So if you can see that all the way around, you're beaded up. I'm going to flip it over. Make sure this other side's beaded up as well, which it is. Now we just need to reinstall the valve stem cap. And you've got two options. You can run the nut against the rim, but I like to run it up against that cap. That way if the tire spins, it doesn't rip the valve stem off, or it doesn't do it as easy. So that's it for the 10-inch tire change tips. If this helped you out, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments below. And if you need any tools for your tire or replacement tubes or tires, go pick those up on our website, and make sure you subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.